everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News website. I've got a couple of guests on our CEO series. This company, P2 Gold, is also a sponsor of my website. I'm very glad to have them. They've got two excellent projects and a group of guys that have lots of experience in finding and building mines. And thanks a lot for joining me, Joe and Ken.
Good to see you, Allan.
Thanks, Allan.
Well, the news I wanted to talk about was from Gabs, your project in Nevada. You just announced 2.96 grams of gold over 22.86 meters. Included in that was a high grade of 5 grams over 12.9 meters. Let's talk about that to start.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know, those were our results from Carbody, which we've talked about previously, and you know, we're really quite excited. We keep coming back confirming that the original drilling was good, but probably still understating results. And we're, you know, slowly starting to understand what we think is happening there in terms of ore control. So you know, that's a zone that has a lot of potential, and it's really going to be us understanding how best to orient our drilling to maximize that potential. So we're a long way to that.
Yeah, and Carbody, it's the smallest of our zones, but it's also the highest grade. Right now it's 100,000 ounces at 1.29, I believe, or 1.26 grams per ton gold, but potential to increase that grade. You get intersections like this. We believe we can bring the grade up and expand the ounces. And so, you know, it's a small part of the overall project, but nice grade. It's all gold, no copper, easy to heap leach, and you know, potential for what, 250,000 ounces? You feel like?
I'd really be happy, you know, doubling it, but 250,000 ounces is not beyond the realm of possibility.
And that's just one of 4 zones on the property. But what stood out to me was that it started at 12.19 meters. So that's right at surface and oxides, right?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, so a lot of the zones come to surface. There is some deeper mineralization, but I think kind of the deepest is about 100 meters down. And so, yeah, a lot of this is just start digging right in it, no strip. It's sitting right there.
And yeah, all the zones come to surface. So that's the nice thing about Gabs. They're all sticking up out of the ground.
And putting it into context, a lot of the miners down there in heap leach operations in Nevada are talking about less than 0.5 gram sometimes these days. So this is orders of magnitude higher.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's the nice thing about all the deposits. As Joe mentioned, everything comes to surface. Plus, fortunately in our case, the highest grade tends to be the upper part of the zone. So you know, you've got Sullivan and Lucky Strike all have a high grade lens that comes to surface. That's right at the top. And then we mine down into the lower stuff. And at Carbody, we've got these great intersections sitting right there at surface. So
yeah, another hit was started at 19 meters, and that was 13 meters of 2.73 grams.
Yep, yep. And that's Carbody. It's rich. And it's sitting there, you know, at surface.
Yeah, and one of the things we've seen from, we've chatted about this in the past, is historically when they were drilling at Carbody, say in the 80s, I think Placer was in there a fair bit, it was all vertical percussion drilling. And what we've seen is that by drilling at an angle, you're actually cutting across the mineralization better, and you get a more representative drill hole.
In grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And that would be the kind of thing that's amenable to heap leach and low cost, and make lots of money off of that.
Yes.
Yeah, get it in production quickly.
Yeah.
Without much capex, and you know, for Nevada, that's what they're used to, right? These get these heap leaches up and going fast. So permitting should go fairly well, as well as construction.
And car body, what, just talking about that zone, what would be the potential to grow it? What would you be chasing there, Ken?
Well, for right now, we need to understand it better. But, as we talked about, I think the first goalpost I would shoot for is to get it up to 250,000 ounces. And then let's by that point, we're going to understand the ore controls better, and we're going to be able to see how much bigger we can make it.
So the start, build it up close to surface, oxide zone, try to put it into low cost production, and then keep following it once you learn more.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And if Joe will give me the money to drill, we'll drill more before production, but we'll just see. As we've talked, he's a little tight with the purse strings.
Yeah, twist his arm a little harder.
I'll do my best. He's pretty strong, he's been working out.
Okay, let's talk more about the Gabs in general. Car body is one of 4. I think Sullivan is the one that you've drilled the most. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Most of ours historically as well.
Okay, and so is it car body Sullivan car body? How do you sort of prioritize that?
Well, I think on sheer size, Sullivan is going to be a focus going forward because it is the biggest, it's the best understood. Car body and Lucky Strike would be second in terms of size. The car body would be second if you were using grade. So I think it's difficult to separate the individual zones. We're treating everything as the whole project. And so focused initially on oxides and expand those oxide zones, and then look at the deeper sulfide mineralization.
I don't know if a lot of people really understand how profitable those oxide deposits in Nevada can be. I mean, you're talking about super low cost to bring them into production, and they tend to make a lot of money for a long time.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they keep going. And one nice thing about it, and we've been arguing about this, but one thing we can look at doing is car bodies, just your garden variety, straight plain vanilla heap leach. Get it up running quick and cheap. And then you bring on Sullivan, where you've got the gold copper, and we build the SART plant once we get up and running. So there's a couple of ways we can phase this to really, make that capital, work for us with our cash flow.
And an oxide heap leach of gold would probably be the engine to create cash flow to build on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're not delaying anything with the sulfide zone because we got to mine through the oxides anyway. So it fits beautifully from an economic parameters, but also from a timing parameters.
And what about that sulfides below the oxides? What's your optimism on that, Ken?
Well, we've said from the beginning, we're looking at 4 to 5 million ounces equivalent in all those superficial zones. And, we're a little over halfway there now. And I think we can get that. There's a lot of potential. I mean, we were quite surprised. We were walking around looking at some things, and we started pointing at all these other workings that are off, that aren't even part of the resource or anything right now. And everywhere you look on that project, the old timers were scratching at pits, they were doing stuff. So there's a huge system there. So, I'm very confident we're going to get up to that 4 to 5 million ounces equivalent. And that'll split roughly 50-50, between oxide sulfide. And that's without touching that deep source for the whole thing. So if we can find that, well, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Well, 2.5 million ounces of highly profitable oxide material is nothing to sneeze at these days,
No,
Not at all.
no, that's right.
especially in Nevada.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you couldn't ask for a better location.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so that would be the growth engine to chase what's deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you look at it, we've got a PEA that we're just gonna be starting up now. Target is to get that completed before the end of the year. We believe we're pretty good on track to get that. And we would, it's nice. You start up with the oxide, you mine it for 4 or 5 years. We've done some desktop work. And then after you're, got your cash flow and everything's coming along, then you get down and start working on your mill to treat the sulfides. So it's a nice phase in of the sulfides after you get the oxides going.
Well, I'm a big fan of those low cost, high margin projects. They tend to kick off a lot of free cash that can help with the building and the exploration.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, right? Low costs, you get the cash flow.
Well, speaking of that, there's a company down here not far from where I am in Zacatecas that you guys are well aware of, which is the Camino Rojo is now at commercial production, and their costs are, and it's a kind of a similar type of store, not maybe geologically, but $700 an ounce all in cost, and mining that oxide and making lots of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the original PEA on that in, what was that, 2009 or 10? 2010.
Yeah, 10.
It was
Yeah.
about $500 an ounce then, cost wise. Yeah, no, that's a great deposit.
Yeah, and that's, I love to look for those because they carry a nice premium. That company has a $1.5 billion valuation now. And I think when they get a quarter or two into their production and show those low costs, that they'll garner even a higher valuation.
Comes down to margin.
Yeah.
Can't beat
Yeah.
it.
They say grade is king, and I think margin is king and grade is queen.
Yeah, they go hand in hand. Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely. Well, those are very nice grades. 3 grams over 22 meters, starting at 11 or 12 meters under surface. That's
Really
pretty sweet stuff.
around. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're really excited, and we managed a couple more holes at the end of the program, so we'll get a little bit more information there, and then as soon as we're ready, we'll get back and focus some more.
That brings up a good point. What is the situation with pending results?
Well,
Slow.
they're very slow.
How many? I know everybody's slow these days. How many holes do you have pending?
This we did 22 holes, so that's the first 4 out of 22. So there's a lot of data. We did 4 holes at Sullivan, 4 holes, a total of 6 holes at Carbody, and the rest are at Lucky Strike.
So you've got the bulk of it's about 16 holes still to report.
Yeah, there's still holes to come. We worked Carbody, Sullivan, Lucky Strike back to Carbody, and so you'll see the news come out sort of in that flow.
Okay.
As we receive these assays, and so over the next couple of weeks we should see some more, and then they'll continue filtering in. I would hope that we have all our assays out by the end of May, early June.
So it looks like you've got a good news flow for the foreseeable future, right through to the end of the year and starting into new year.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got these leading up to June, and once we'll start drilling, snow permitting, we'll start drilling up at BAM in late June, and then the news flow will flow through the rest of the year with that, and then we'll have our PEA out before Christmas. So lots happening this year.
I talk to a lot of people, and not a lot of them, they talk about the potential to mine and growing ounces. Not a lot of them have the kind of experience you guys have. Why don't you touch a little bit on that, Joe and Ken?
Go ahead.
Well, okay, well, I'll talk about Ken. Ken, when we were at Silver Standard, we grew that company up from pretty much 0 silver ounces in the resource category up to 2 billion ounces in resources, either through acquisition or discovery. Ken drilled off all those deposits, discovered some of them, and you know, supervised and oversaw these resource estimates. So a lot of experience in that neck of the woods. We did PEAs on a number of those. And then at Perquitas, we brought that project up in Andes actually into production before we left. So it was about an 8 million ounce a year silver producer. And then we jumped from Ken's team discovered the Brucejack mine in 2009 at Silver Standard. So the board wanted to sell it, so we set it up. So we sold it in 2010 and immediately went with the project, and we did the same thing. Ken's team drilled off the Brucejack. Geez, we were drilling 100,000 meters in 4 or 5 months a year.
Yeah.
You know, you got a short window there, so you got to hit it hard. And so hit it hard and took it from discovery up into commercial production in under 8 years. So we've seen a lot of resource estimates, seen a lot of economic studies, and we love doing it. So want to do some more.
Yeah.
Well, and Pretium is a recent success that I started picking up when it was very cheap. And what was the recent purchase price? I think $18 or something like that.
2.8 billion US dollars. That's a chunk of change.
And so you guys have a lot of experience in finding and building mines.
Yeah, we've got some gray hair here.
Yeah. Well,
At least I do.
hair, yeah.
I got the gray hair. He's got the thinner hair.
I'm still good looking though.
Well,
And Joe, you got the gray hair because you got to look after the money. Ken doesn't have as much because he spends it.
Yeah.
and I try to keep him from telling people that.
Let's touch. We've done a good job to sort of outline things at Nevada. Before we close, why don't we talk a little bit about what you got going up there in British Columbia? Because you're probably not too far away from starting some stuff in the Golden Triangle where you had that success with Pretium.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So so we've got our Gabs or BAM project up there. Good location. So for this year coming up, we made that discovery in the Monarch Gold Zone. We had those beautiful intersections across a wide area. So we're going to get going with the ZTEM survey, which is an airborne EM survey. And with that, we're looking for the feeder zone, which, you know, we know geologically where it has to be because there's some contacts that constrain that. So we fly most of the property in late May. We're going to put our camp on site, so we'll get going with that construction in early June. And then as soon as we can get enough drill pads ahead of us, because the drilling there goes very fast. So we've got to get drill pads ready before the drill shows up. But we'll be drilling late June, early July, and we'll push it right through till the end of September, which when, you know, Mother Nature boots you out. And then if we have success, so in particular, we have a lot of additional geochem that we need to follow up so we can see where those mineralized beds are. And then also, we know where we suspect the feeder zone is. If the geophysics confirms that and we get some early holes into that look good, we'll see about bringing in a second drill. So 8,000 to 10,000 meters of drilling plus the ZTEM survey. And if things go well quickly, we'll maybe push that to 15 or 20,000 meters.
That's a very exciting project. I've looked at the cross sections and you can see the structures or the contacts you're talking about and the controls on the gold. So it looks like you can just keep following that, right, Ken?
Absolutely. So we've got two vectors to follow. First is the geophysics. And then secondly, all these beds that we're hitting are all dipping back towards where we suspect the feeder zone is. And so, you know, one way or the other, we're definitely going to follow those back because there's 3 or 4 million ounce exploration potential on those surface beds. And then if we get into the feeder zone, well then, you know, the potential could be up in the 8, 10, 20 million ounces. It really could be quite big.
I like the sounds of that.
It's a potential for the next big Golden Triangle discovery.
Yeah.
It really does.
And the project is, our claim boundary is a couple miles off the end of the Galore Creek Road where it's finished, not the other 60 kilometers they have to build. We're right at the end of the road. So we've got great access, a great project.
And good topography as well, right?
Nice and gentle. It's on this big broad plateau. You know, you wouldn't think you were in BC, you know, given our experience of the last 15 years. This is not BC. This is somewhere down in Nevada, you know, nice high plateau, easy access. But that seems to be our luck of the draw this time.
And those rock packages come right to surface, so you sort of draw some dots on the map there and start connecting them at depth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's going to develop very quickly. And again, you know, touch wood, the Mother Nature is, we think we understand her on this case. We should have enough drilling that we can get a resource out late this year if we're lucky, but early next year. Like
Comes down to assays.
Yeah, it comes down to assays. If we can get the assaying out quickly, which we can't, then we'll get a resource. But we should have enough drilling this year to get at least an inferred resource on those surface beds, and we'll have a pretty good idea on the feeder zone, what's happening there.
Yeah, because you guys had how many holes did you get into it last year? Or I'm getting my years correct. Yeah, last year.
Four holes into the Monarch Gold Zone last year, and then 2 in the historic Copper Zone, which deserves some follow-up. We're focusing on the Monarch Gold Zone, but there's a lot of copper potential there as well.
Yeah.
And if memory serves me correct, in those holes you did drill, you had some nice continuity of the grade there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like our hole number 3, we had 2.63 grams per ton gold over 45 meters, fairly consistent. And then we had that nice, at the contact, we had that nice 9 meters of 7.3 grams of gold per ton. So,
and that's all real close to surface.
From surface.
That was from surface, yeah. And so there's those beds of argillite that are sandwiched between dolomites, which are all cooked now to an iron carbonate. And that's your ore control. So, you know, those argillite beds are all brittle now from being cooked previously. And so it's a pretty simple geologic model, and they're all dipping back towards where we think the feeder zone is. I mean, it's even easy for me to understand. So that, well, I've almost got Joe to understand it. So that's how easy it is.
And those rock packages you're talking about, should they show up nicely on the geophysics, Ken?
No, they won't. We've done some IP, and it sort of points to them, but there's the beds are somewhat conductive, so the IP doesn't work very well. And so we'll see what the EM survey says, but I suspect they're not conductive enough for the EM. But we don't need geophysics for that surface mineralization. We've got geochemistry, and that we've shown that wherever we had a red dot, which was a soil sample with greater than 0.5 gram gold per ton. 0.5 gram gold in the soils. That's better than what grades we're talking about people mine in Nevada, and our soil samples are running that. So we drill some holes, and we'll follow that along. So wherever we've got good soil values, we know one of those beds is coming to surface. So once we've got that, it's just a matter of stepping back. And where I'm hoping the geophysics will show up is for sure that there's that contact between the older granites and the sediments. So that's our feeder zone. So we'll be able to see that. And if we're lucky, there's enough sulfides. We need at least 30–35% sulfides. Now it becomes a conductor, and then it really lights up. And then we know the jewelry box is down there at that point.
So it may not light up the mineralization, but you might be able to see the the packages of rock to help you target with.
At a minimum, that's what we'll see. It won't help us with the surface mineralization, but we don't need help there. We just need drill holes. If we're lucky and there's a lot of sulfides, then that feeder zone will light up as a conductor. And if it does, that's going to be one of the early drill holes, is poking right down at that, because it'll be a real jewelry box.
I like the sounds of jewelry boxes.
Yeah.
Well, go out there and find some, Ken. You've done it before.
Well, we'll keep trying, hopefully.
All right. Well, that's been a great update, guys. And I think I'm going to close it off. Did you have any closing comments?
No, you go ahead.
Well, okay, there we go. No, I think you covered it all, Alan. Look, we're really pumped for this year. I think 2022 is going to be a big year for us, between pushing ahead on the economics on Gabs and BAM really coming into the spotlight once we get through this drill season. So we're just looking forward to getting through the year.
And just to talk about that a little bit, you guys only have 70 million shares out and a $52 million valuation. Yet you're talking about multi-million ounce targets.
Oh, yeah. Look, at everybody thinks they're undervalued. We know we're undervalued.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of potential for the company and the projects, but that just all relates to the share price, and we expect the share price to end the year a lot higher than where it is now.
Well, when they talk about that, Joe, they don't have your kind of experience, and they often don't have the catalyst looking forward to unlock shareholder value. So I think you guys have all the ticks of the boxes that you need.
Well,
thanks,
Alan. We'll keep pushing on it.
Good on you guys. Let me close it off and we'll have a little chat at the end. So there you go, folks. P2 Gold, I'm a big fan of these guys because, as I said during the conversation, they've done it before. The Pretium, I picked it at a couple bucks. It got bought out at $18. That was a huge success. They have a slew of huge successes with their big silver mining company. And, you know, so when they throw numbers around, and it's a little different than a lot of juniors, because these guys have done it before. Lots of catalysts, only a $52 million valuation. And I think this is one you want to take a close look at. As always, my shows are for information purposes only. It's important for you to do your homework, speak with your financial advisors, and check out their website, because they've got a lot of great information in their news release section as well as in their corporate presentations. And I think that will help you understand why I think this company is so undervalued. And with a better price of gold, which I think is coming, that will be a secondary catalyst to move the price up. So take a good look at P2 Gold. I think you'll like what you see, and we'll talk to you soon.